Hello there, this is Nick, the only one of the two co-hosts. Jack and I recorded this episode in the same place, which we've never done before, and unfortunately, you can kind of tell that the audio quality on Jack is a little bit bad. He's a little bit hard to hear at certain points. I tried to do what I could to make it a little clearer, but it's definitely noticeable. So we also, at one point, had to move where we were recording it because there was a lot of ambient noise. But other than those two things, I think it's a good episode. So I hope you enjoy. Bye. Hello, my name is Dominic Cioli.
I'm Jack Cioli, and joining us today is my good friend Michael Scott.
Hey, yeah.
So this is the last podcast we're doing in the year, and we decided to do a little best of, worst of the year in review kind of thing. We each came up with some questions, and we have some questions from listeners. Jack, god damn it. Okay.
I'll improvise.
Okay. I'm just gonna jump around the list. I will do listener ones near the end, since Jack didn't prepare for those. I'm gonna start off with best movie of the year and worst movie of the year. It's best movie, worst movie you saw this year. So does anybody want to go first? Okay, I will. My best movie of the year that I saw. I haven't really seen many movies this year, but the best movie I saw this year, in my opinion, was The Seventh Seal. It's a pretty old Swedish movie from 1957. It's about a crusader coming back from the Crusades, and he meets death and plays a chess game with him. And it's a lot about faith and kind of like what goes into faith and when people lose faith. And I don't know, I like that kind of theme, even though I'm not a particularly religious person. But I enjoyed the movie a lot, and I would definitely recommend it. Michael, do you want to go next?
Yeah, Seventh Seal is the one with the weird the guy with the weird face, and they're playing chess like in front of the sea or something.
Yeah, that's how it starts. The first time they play chess is the game starts on the beach, and then
Now I know.
I thought you said you hadn't seen that movie.
No, now I know what you're talking about. When you said it was old, you didn't say how old it was.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, that's my film degree talking, everybody. Best movie I saw was absolutely hands down Whiplash, Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons. Miles Teller is, I swear, man, I don't know who picks his roles if he's able to. He accredits a lot of that to his agent, but man, he's going to be around for a long time, and his career is going to be magnificent to watch. I don't know if you guys have seen Spectacular Now, but you should watch that, and you should definitely catch Whiplash if it is near you. Otherwise, it would be on DVD in February. And
Miles Teller is our new Mr. Fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's right. And he will be astounding in that as well. It's if one of my biggest qualifiers for a good movie is how well it sticks with you after the credits have rolled. And man, I think about it honestly every day. It's just I can't say enough good things about it. I've seen plenty of other things. That was a good recommendation for Chris to say. You got to see Birdman before you make any big decisions about what was the best thing, and that is so close to dethroning it. But there's something about Birdman that just doesn't sit quite right, and I think it's the ending. But Whiplash throughout is just incredibly intense, and it'll stick with you for a long time.
Jack?
We're talking about best, right?
Best.
Okay, then for me, it's hands down gonna go to Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which is, in my mind, the best of all of the Marvel Studios movies thus far, and one of the best action movies I've ever seen, one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. It's just filled with great moments, some of the best action, which we'll be revisiting in a later question. I just love it. Chris Evans is the man. It's amazing.
Okay, I'm going to start with worst movie as well. Like I said, I haven't seen that many movies, but the worst movie I saw this year was Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, the performances in it weren't bad. I mean, Andrew Garfield's good, and Emma Stone's really good, too. And I liked Dane, what's his last name?
DeHaan.
But I mean, that movie is just a freaking train wreck for reasons that Jack and I have discussed on the podcast before. And that, I mean, I think at this point it's pretty common knowledge that that movie was a disaster. But, yeah, worst movie I saw this year. Jack?
That really bumps me out. I mean, it's one of the worst movies I saw this year, too, but I just want Spider-Man to be good. I hate seeing him on the bottom list like this. Mine, I'm going to have to go with Out of the Furnace, which Michael and I viewed on home video together. It stars Christian Bale and Casey Affleck and Woody Harrelson, Zoe Saldana, and it is a snoozer. I don't know if maybe I just kind of went into it with expecting something different, because I know, Michael, you had mentioned it seems like it was going to be a revenge thriller type deal. But man, you hear that saying in storytelling that you want to try and get into the narrative as late as possible and then get out as early as possible so that there's no filler, like you trim the fat. Well, whoever wrote and directed Out of the Furnace skipped that day of storytelling class because there's a lot of pointless, nonsense, boring crap in that movie.
Michael?
Yeah, well, I agree with all of that. You know, it's and that probably would have been my pick had I not watched Kick this year. That's Kick-Ass 2. I tore out some of the comic books and threw them in the trash where they think that I could put on DVD because it would have ended up in the same place. Luckily, it was absolutely misguided, terrible. The source material is bad enough, but man, they even went lower. And just because I have to mention something that was released this year instead. There's a movie called Under the Sea, Scarlett Johansson. It is just a train wreck of a movie. Now, literally, well, not literally. I want to be careful about that. But nothing happens. It has more narrative problems than Out of the Furnace by far. She plays an alien on a journey through Scotland. That's how it's built, but she doesn't do any journeying. It's one of the pieces of trash that I have ever watched, and plenty of people seem to just love it. And I love a good experimental drama, but it's so horrendously misguided that it's hard to understand. It's art house crap.
What did you say the movie was called?
Under the Skin.
Okay, so the next question is going to be a Jack-free question because he doesn't have an answer to it. Best album of the year. Only one artist who I listened to even came out with a new album this year, so that wins by default. It's Fabric State by Hannah Peel, and it's a good album anyway. It would probably be pretty highly ranked, even if I listened to other music, but it has a song, the title track, Fabric State, which is probably jumped right into my top 15 songs in no particular order. But, yeah, that was the only one that came out this year for me.
That's pretty easy then. Well, I think I don't listen to a ton either, but Chromeo's album, White Women, was, it just continues to throb. It's, every time I hear any song from that album, I just feel like moving. And, I'm not really much of a dancer. But I can listen to it any time, man. It's good for any mood. And just, are we doing worst here, too?
Yeah, you can do worst. Like I said, I don't have a worst, but
so you've already answered worst because it was both of them.
Yeah, best and worst.
Wait, did you pick something Michael didn't like?
No, I only had one album come out this year, so that by default was the best album I listened to and the worst album that I listened to.
Oh.
Well, this isn't necessarily a terrible album, but I hope Joe Ochterbeck listens to this because he's gonna hate my answer. But it's Vampire Weekend's album, Modern Vampires in the City. It's not that it's a bad album. It's just that it sounds like anybody could have made it. It doesn't. There are only 2 songs on there that sound anything like Vampire Weekend, and that's why I like their music because it sounds like them. And it's just not innovative or risky at all, and it was a huge disappointment.
All right. I'm gonna go with another one of my questions now. Best prose book you read. I'm gonna start with Jack.
Oh, okay. Well, I only read one book, and it took me the entire year to read it. I believe I got it for Christmas last year, and I only just finished it maybe a month ago. When did I tell you I finished it? Anyway.
I mean, that's when you gave it to me about a month ago.
So, it is called Superman,
Oh,
The
never mind.
High-Flying History of America's Most Enduring Hero. Although I guess I did read that. Did I read that this year or last year?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm gonna switch my answer. Nick has reminded me of something that's even way better than this one. But I'll just say this. This book is a history of Superman from his creation to the present day and across all media. And it's interesting, but it's a little too rosy-eyed, I think. But the book Nick just reminded me of is called Marvel Comics: The Untold Story, which is basically the same thing, but about Marvel Comics, and it is really fascinating, and I think it's a really balanced view of kind of all the people involved. Like, you get a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that was going on at the publisher during 40s, 50s, 60s, all the really interesting times. It's written by Sean Howe. I would highly recommend it if you read a lot of comics or are interested in kind of the behind the scenes stuff like that. It's really fascinating.
Michael?
Mine is just unquestionably a constellation of vital phenomena by Anthony Mara. It's about a little girl and the people who are connected to her during the shockingly recent First and Second Chechen Wars in Chechnya and Russia. It's the most beautifully written book I've ever read, and it's probably some of the heaviest, most difficult stuff I've ever read as well. But it's so rewarding on every page, and I've talked to everybody else I can find who's read it, and we just cannot believe how one person can write so beautifully about something so incredibly tragic and heartbreaking, and something ultimately triumphant. Although, boy, the road to get there is so tough. But it's I don't know that I'll ever read something quite as alarmingly brilliant, and that's kind of the opinion that most of the other folks who've read it have as well.
What was it called?
A constellation of vital phenomena.
Mine. Mine is a slight cheat. It's actually kind of a series, but I read them all this year. Steve Runciman, I think is how you pronounce his name. He wrote a 3-volume history of the Crusades, which was amazing. I'm a bit of a history nerd, as those who know me know, and the Crusades has always been something that interested me, but you never really learn about it in school. And so I found this book series, and it covers it's incredibly in depth. Like, I would love to know what this guy's sources were, because it almost in some parts of the book, it's almost like a day-by-day history of important sieges, however you pronounce that word. It's amazing. So that is the book category. What they do next? Alright, I'm going to go to our first set of listener questions from Michael's friend Rodney, what's his last name, Mosley?
Yeah, Mosley. Yeah.
I forgot to write the last name down.
Professionals. We are professionals.
Yep, I'm a pro. His first question is, biggest video game letdown of the year. I'm going to start with Jack again.
Good, because I got one for this.
Hi, Jack.
For me, it's going to be Assassin's Creed Unity. And I guess in a way, you could say the entire Assassin's Creed franchise is a massive letdown for me constantly. Because I want to like those games a lot. I really like the look of the main character in every game. It's always pretty cool. And, running around on rooftops and fighting people in fluid combat is pretty much exactly what I want out of a video game. But they've basically been putting out the same game since the first Assassin's Creed. And I enjoyed that one, but it's been quite a long time since then, and it could be so much sharper. And there's so many times when I'm trying to do some cool like parkour stuff, and I'll just run straight off a blank wall and then slide back down like 3 straight times before it registers that I want to do a little kickoff to a windowsill, and it's just really frustrating. They just keep putting the same game out with a different coat of paint, and it's not worth it.
All right, since you're the video game expert here, I'm gonna go first for you. And mine's kind of short. My biggest video game letdown is Madden 15. I like the game a lot. It's really fun to play. It looks better than every other Madden game, obviously, as it should. But the problem with it is it's so damn glitchy. Like, I had to take the game back after, like, I think it was 2, maybe 3 weeks, because what draws me to Madden is the franchise mode, where I can take over, the Cleveland Browns and make them good. But it would delete my franchise mode every time after 1 year. So after playing franchise mode 3 times and never getting past the first fucking season, I was like, I'm done with this, and I just gave it back. I haven't been happy about that since. I've still, like, every once in a while, I still want to play it, but, it's not worth it. Michael?
I wrote Watch Dogs, and then I scratched it out, and then I just wrote Ubisoft. And it's mostly the biggest part of the disappointment pie chart is absolutely Watch Dogs. It was hyped for so long, and it looked really, really good in a lot of the presentations that they made about it. And then when it was released, it was like factually and readily visible that game was not the same one that they showed us. It was promised to be, an open world, realistically represented Chicago, in which you could use your infrastructure hacking abilities to control the city and make it do what you wanted to do. But it was you pretty much had access to everything right off the bat, and that it loses its oomph after a while. The story takes itself way too seriously. There are certain narrative bumps that it has that you just cannot possibly recover from. Like people showing up out of nowhere for no reason, and then they just introduce all these characters and insist that you care about them immediately. And it was not as broken as Assassin's Creed, which actually on Xbox One required a full re-download of the entire game, so 40 gigabytes of a pack. Yeah. And then on other systems it was like 4.9 gigabytes, I think. So they've released broken games. They've legitimately pulled back on the specifications of those games. They make hollow promises all the time about their living, breathing cities, but it was just it's horribly limited. And I don't know how you can release a game like Watch Dogs in the face of Grand Theft Auto or even Sleeping Dogs and expect people to be like, wow, this is an open world that I'd really like to return to. Because it was only cars and trucks. The physics models were way out of line, as you'll see in one of the videos that I have made of it.
Well, I'll post to that.
Slow motion smashing into people, which was really the best part. And unfortunately I bought it digitally, and man, I wish that I could trade it in, because just right off the bat that this game is not going to work. And
was that one of those accidental buys?
Yes, yeah, it was the one that I bought accidentally because my controller was controlling my PlayStation 3 and 4. And I wish that they could do refunds in that case. But I didn't know how bad it was going to be, because honestly it looked really cool. I didn't expect it to be Game of the Year, but I expected it to be entertaining, and I finished it only because I could not trade it in. And I still can't. And the only reason I would ever bother to download it again, I actually got the season pass as well, because I had some credits sitting around. And man, I popped that on and was like, so you haven't done anything new. It's just the same coat of paint, just like Jack says. So Ubisoft really should change. They should add a tagline to their logo. Does it work? ? And that's about it. Because that's the question you'll be asking yourself every time. I told a friend of mine, I'm not ever buying an Ubisoft game at launch ever again. Even Far Cry 4, which was probably the most promising thing they had to offer this year. They took the formula for Far Cry 3 that worked so well, slapped a different coat of paint on it, and almost all the reviews say that, no matter how much they like it. But they plucked the fun out of it. They just found out what was fun about that third game and just pulled it right out. And somehow it actually looks worse in terms of graphics. been Far Cry 3. I'm really upset with them, but I am still looking forward to a game called The Division. And everybody who's talking about all Ubisoft's missteps, they holding out hope that game works because it looks really great. But so have all of their other things.
Don't buy it digitally.
No.
Rodney's second question is biggest video game sleeper hit of the year. Jack, do you have anything for this?
I got nothing.
All right. I don't think I have really anything either.
Wait, I thought you did.
I kind of have something. I don't know how much of a sleeper it is, but Michael turned me on to this game called Fantasy Life, which is for the 3DS, and I'd never heard of it before. And I'll just say that I'll be coming back to this in a different question, so I won't spend too much time on it. But I fucking love that game. It's the most fun I've had playing a solo video game, in a long time. I mean, obviously the most fun I have playing video games is screwing around on GTA with you two guys, but Fantasy Life alone is so much fun. Michael?
You don't count you don't like when I come to your world and we kill dragons?
Actually, I'll be coming back to that as well.
Oh, all right.
But
okay,
yeah, playing with you is okay, I guess.
Sleeper hit. I actually wrote the same thing, and I don't know how much hype there was because I only realized that it was out once my friend Carly was excited to get it. But clearly it wasn't hyped because I didn't know about it, and I'm really in touch with all these things. But the art style on the front makes it look like I would never touch it. And then someone pointed out, there's some Twitter thing said, man, I love this game so much. It's like Diablo 2 crossed with Animal Crossing. And I was like, oh shit, I have to buy it now.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, and so I did. And man, I have 118 hours on it already, and I know I'm not even halfway to the point at which you would even start talking about the word end game, where you can do things that you wouldn't be able to. So you level up all these lives and stuff. You're further ahead than I am, but man, it is incredibly addictive, and I think it's a pretty good pick for sleeper hit because the hype was not loud.
Yeah. Since we're on video games, well, first, thanks Rodney for those two questions. Your check is in the mail.
Oh yeah.
Since we're on video games, I think we have one more explicitly video game question, so we're just going to jump to that. Michael asked us video game of the year. And since we're already kind of talking about it, I'll go first. My video game of the year is Fantasy Life. Pretty much everything that Michael just said, obviously this isn't scientific, but if I had to guess, I would guess that Fantasy Life is the game that I've gotten to 100 hours in the fastest. I mean, like, back when I was still in Chicago, I would probably play that game, honestly, if I'm being honest, maybe 4 hours a day. It is so fun. And it hasn't gotten old at all. I mean, the only thing that sucks is that now I'm a god in pretty much every life except for cooking. And cooking sucks. So I'm dreading doing the cooking stuff. But, I mean, it's so fun. The combat never gets, like, on its face, the combat is kind of repetitive, but it never feels repetitive. Because it's pretty much just, like, press A, charge X. But it's just so fun. I love that game so much. Jack and Michael, do either of you two want to go next?
I will go next, because mine will be much briefer.
Because we're in my domain.
So, I don't play a lot of video games, and if you want to know what video games I do play, the easiest way to do that is pretty much just find whatever video games Michael bought twice, because he buys most of mine. But for me, I'm going to have to pick The Last of Us, which isn't really, I mean, it came out on PlayStation 4.
Last of Us remastered.
I'm counting it. But I played through the story for the first time, and it was a blast, and I think it's online, versus mode is one of the most fun I've ever played. Like, I think, I really like the way it feels like a real-ish, gunfight between a bunch of amateur people with weapons would go down, because you have to, sneak, and you have to crouch behind cover all the time, and every other game I've played online, like Halo and Call of Duty and stuff, you're never not sprinting straight at other people with guns, and it's totally ridiculous. But The Last of Us, I think, is super fun. It never really gets old for me. The only time it ever gets frustrating is when we get beat, which only happens occasionally, but when it does, it's horribly frustrating. But, I mean, I could play that game forever. Michael?
Oh man, that makes me want to play it, man. I wish you guys had your PlayStations.
Well, you could play it with Jack.
I got mine.
I can play Fantasy Life while I watch you guys.
Oh yeah, maybe we should do a little bit of that. Can we just make this like an open call for auditions for like a fourth player on that game?
Yeah, if any of you are good at Last of Us,
Or
You
mediocre.
don't even have to be good.
Yeah,
if you're
true.
semi-conscious, it would be perfectly fine.
yeah, you just have to be a living, breathing person with a brain.
With hands.
Well, because the other people have hands, they just don't have brains.
Do they have hands, though? We don't have proof.
They move around, just always in the wrong direction.
And always while holding the fucking left trigger. Anyway, Last of Us jokes. Yeah, I'm gonna do 2 because I can. And it's gonna be totally single player and totally multiplayer. Shovel Knight is absolutely the best single player game that was released this year. It's perfectly structured, excellently paced, and it doesn't have any glitches or problems or anything at all. They patch it, and they still patch it. They play the hell out of this and realize what they need to sort of alter to make it the game that they wanted to make. But man, it's beating Super Smash Brothers on Wii U and on 3DS because it's on both of those. It's beating those in a lot of Game of the Year races, and it's pretty easy to see why. It's a little bit of Castlevania, a little bit of Super Mario. And it is just so fantastic, and probably has one of the best soundtracks in honestly anything, movie or game.
I don't know, Michael. Have you ever been in Castell Square?
No, I mean I have, but I hate it.
Is that some fantasy life fiction?
That's a Fantasy Life joke. All right.
If you've played Fantasy Life, you'll know the song, the Castell theme, and multiplayer. Jack, what's my pick for best multiplayer this year?
Grand Theft Auto?
No.
Then I don't know. Oh.
Towerfall, Jack.
Yeah, it's Towerfall.
Yeah, Towerfall is I think is a pretty easy pick.
It's
Because
been a long time since we played Towerfall, Michael.
yeah, I know it's been too long. It's I mean, and I'm glad it doesn't have online multiplayer because you might burn yourself out on it. And the joy is murdering somebody or winning the round and then just slowly turning around and looking everybody in the eye. And
what is the joy? What's it like on the other side of that, Michael?
No, I don't know. I do seem to recall the last game that we played together though. Was
game versus the.
That was a pretty
the
clear
average
victory.
play of all the games, sure.
Then this is what the game is all about, and it's totally accessible. See, we introduced it to this group that we played Super Smash Brothers with, and Super Smash. You know, if you're playing against a bunch of good people, you're really not going to do very well because that's a game of skill, and there's some skill involved in Towerfall as well. But once you know the mechanics, you can beat anybody who however good they are.
How many buttons do you have to press, Michael?
It is 3 buttons. 4 if you count switching arrow types, but I don't think anybody has time for any of that bullshit.
Nah, it's unnecessary.
But it's fast-paced couch multiplayer, super frantic action, and man, it is so much fun. If you have, I mean, you got to have somebody else to play with though. The single player is all right, but you got to have somebody next to you or surrounded by people who are screaming and shouting, and then multiplayer on a.
We've got to try that on the party play thing.
Yeah, we do. We should give that a try. I doubt that it's gonna work, but and then honorable mention. We gotta mention Johann Sebastian Joust just because of all the good times.
Yeah, that's.
I really love this resurgence of really simple and totally fun games that are meant to be played by a crowd and can easily be jumped into by anybody who might be standing around. Ren is she'll play, but when it's accessible, you know, anybody can jump right in. You know, you can get people who say, "Oh no, I don't play video games." No, I don't. And then they pick up a controller and it's so simple and so fun and so energetic that they're just jumping right in. I just love where we're going with this. You know, we get these PS4s with the ability to display things that look like real human beings, and we use them for games that have pixel art all over them. And I think that's great because that speaks to the quality. It's not about the production values or about the the graphics. It just has to work and it has to be fun. And I'll come back to that, so I'll end it there.
Okay. Let's actually hit the next thing that has a video game connection. Another listener question from another one of Michael's friends named Brett, and I forgot to write his last name down as well. So, sorry, Brett.
Brett Eiler.
Okay, Brett Eiler. It's a two-part question. The video game part we'll do first. Best fight of the year in video games. Jack, do you have anything?
No.
All right. My quick one will be Michael and I fighting the Crystal Dragon at the top of the Ancient Tower in Fantasy Life.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I look forward to. I look forward to one of these days here pretty soon. Hopefully, taking on that ancient Nap Dragon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe we should give that a try tonight.
Yeah, we should give it a little exploratory adventure.
Okay. The end. Signing off. Thanks for listening, everybody.
We gotta go play some fantasy. All right, Michael. Your best video game fight?
Best video game fight. Let's see. I really couldn't think of any specific one. And so I just kind of had to name a game, and I think this is acceptable because every fight is going to be so different. I think just every encounter in Lord of the Rings: Shadow of Mordor, it can be insanely challenging, like Dark Souls level hard, or you can just lay waste to them, and anytime. I mean, it's just totally awesome fun. A lot of different options for combat, just like Batman. It's the first game to take that Batman combat system and use it effectively. And it's rated M, and man, there is so much orc blood in that game, and they do not pull the punches, and I really love that. So you do these really awesome twirl moves, and that you slash at the knees and then just lop their head right off. And it's got that violence, but it's got such a great flow that I think it's easy to name. But I can't think of a very specific one, and it would have probably been something from The Last of Us if I had to choose. But there really hasn't been. It's a tough question to answer because really awesome fights in video games, they usually come through like a quick time event, or you just got to name a whole game with a great combat system and the ability to sort of craft battles the way that you want to. And I think Shadow of Mordor does that better than probably any game has before.
Before we move on, Michael, I don't think I ever talked to you about this, but JT played that game, and he told me that you can see where your friends were, where they died at times, and you could take pains to avenge them.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes characters that kill you in your game will clone themselves, and then they'll go to other people's games in the same location. And they'll get a little bit stronger, and it'll tell you that they killed one of your friends, and that gives you, more reason to hunt them down and murder them. And they'll be, man, Jack, it's gonna piss you off when you play it because
I want to play it so bad.
One hit will take you down to 4% health from 100.
Oh Jesus! Well, the thing that JT was telling me with the story, I don't know if he told you this, but he found that you only died once during the game. I think, at least up to the point where he was, and he went to go see who it was that killed you, and it was some guy who the mechanics of it meant that if you tried to come at him straight on, you would have to fight his entire army or something. So he described to me how he ended up killing that guy, and he went way out of his way, if it makes you feel any better.
Oh, it does. No, I found somebody who killed him too, and that was first order of business, and that's really brilliant, that connection.
Yeah, that does sound like a really awesome idea.
The second part is best fight in a movie, and Jack, I'll let you start with that one.
Yeah, so I teased this one way out in the beginning. We were talking about best movie of the year, and for me, the best fight in a movie this year, hands down, goes to Captain America versus the Winter Soldier in the street. I don't know how else to describe that fight, but holy shit, is it amazing. It is some of the tightest choreography I've seen in a fight, and it just moves so fast, and there is a legitimate sense of danger against Captain America coming from the Winter Soldier that I think is really just thrilling to watch.
I agree with Jack. I don't have anything to add. I agree.
Well, You said hands down. Well, you might want to raise those hands again, Jack, because if you'll think back to a movie that we saw and didn't really like until the last 20 minutes.
No, I was just thinking about it. I was thinking about that movie today, and I would still give it to Cat.
Really? Well, I'm gonna absolutely. I mean, I love that fight too, but I got to give it to the Raid 2 in the kitchen.
That fight is also amazing. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of amazing fights in that movie. They are spaced out a little too far with some stuff that's not quite as interesting. But yeah, I mean that fight. I guess I'll let you talk about it since it's your pick, but it is also quite good.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's not my favorite fight in that movie.
I don't even want to talk about it. I want if someone is actually interested in my pick for that, just YouTube Raid 2 kitchen fight, and man. Get ready.
Okay, real quick, I just want to say, yes, you will enjoy that fight a lot. But if you want to enjoy a fight even more from the same movie, Google or YouTube that movie and the fight. I don't know how you phrase it shorter, but the hallway fight between the main guy and the hammer girl. No, that fight is awesome.
Seems like an easy thing to YouTube.
Yeah.
You would just call it the hallway. That's where I found it.
Listeners they'll know how to sparse that out. But anyway, that fight, awesome.
Okay, all right.
All right, let's go to one of Jack's questions.
Hooray!
He only gave me 2.
I gave you 4.
You gave me 4?
I updated it earlier.
Yeah, who's not prepared now?
Okay, well, sorry, everybody. Production stuff. The question that I was going to say, though, is Best Artist of the Year. Fucking Jack.
Okay, well,
I want to start.
All right, okay, Michael will start.
I read 2 new comics this year.
Good job, Michael.
But I really love what Babs Tarr's doing.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I think the expressiveness that she's able to portray, and it still looks like those characters. It's something that I don't see too often. I guess because I don't read too often, but there's just such a broad range that she's able to express from all of these people that she draws. And I just really love the style. I can't speak too authoritatively about this because it's one of 2 things that I read. But
hey, real quick, have you said what book she's on?
Babs Tarr from Batgirl.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the end.
Yeah, she's really awesome.
Okay, I'll go next. Mine. Sorry, I gotta pull up his name here. I believe his name is Karl Kerschel of Gotham Academy. Gotham Academy is a name that you will hear again out of my mouth soon enough. But I love his art. It looks a lot like an animated TV show, which I just love. It's a beautiful book, and it is a awesome book. That, like I said, you'll hear more from me later. Jack?
Yeah, Karl Kerschel's really good too. For me, I'm gonna pick Stuart Emerman, who is. I'm an artist, and he's the artist that if I had to pick only one person whose soul I could devour to steal all of their talent, it would be him. He's amazing. He worked the beginning of this year on All New X-Men, and it's just a gorgeous book, and he's the artist on the just recently launched All New Captain America, which features the Falcon taking over the shield from Steve. And only 2 issues have come out from that book so far, but holy hell are they pretty. And yeah, I mean, I've read a lot of his work. He's drawn some of my all-time favorite books. He's got just such a range of style that is just constantly impressive. He's absolutely amazing.
All right. I'm just going to go to Jack's next question as well, since I think we're going to hear a couple of those names again. Best costume redesign or new design of the year in comics. Jack said he wanted to go last.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Batgirl.
Damn straight.
The end.
All right.
Anything you want to say about it?
Well, just that I think it's hip and cool, and it actually looks functional, which I know is one of the things that you're probably going to say. Like the knee pads and stuff, you often think, like, how thin is that Batman suit? That if he were just to scrape his knee on something, would we see some blood there? It just seems skin tight and all that stuff. But it looks like thick, like actual protective stuff, and it's just really cool looking, man. I really liked that book, and I had no interest in Batgirl before, but it was really sort of your Jackson noting of the awesome new costume, and that just looks really cool, and it looks like she's actually going to do some cool moves instead of oh, check out her body, that's pretty neat, huh?
Exactly.
It's
not exploitative in any way. It's really good. I agree with you. You picked a good one.
I was thinking about picking Batgirl, but at the 11th hour, I decided to pick the all-new Captain America costume.
Oh, yeah.
Like Jack said, due to some comic events, Steve Rogers hung up the shield and kind of gave it to Sam Wilson, who used to be the Falcon. And I think his new costume, which is designed by Emun, right?
Yeah.
I think it does a really good job of like combining Falcon's costume and Captain America's costume into something that doesn't look just like some fanboy was like, oh, I'm gonna mash these two jerseys. I'm gonna mash these two uniforms up. Fuck, they're called whatever. All right, I'm moving on. That's my pick. Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, it's great. One thing I want to say about the Falcon Cap costume is that he retains his wings, and when he's flying around with the shield and stuff, it looks awesome. Read that book. But so, for my pick, I've got two to mention, because this was my question, and like Michael, I can do what I want.
We've all been bending the rules on our own questions so far.
The first one I'm going to pick is the costume for Spider-Gwen, which was part of the ongoing story in The Amazing Spider-Man, which is called Spider-Verse, which combines every Spider-Man ever and adds a bunch of new ones. And it's a really fun. It's a fun look. It's there's an alternate universe where Gwen Stacy's bitten by the spider instead of Peter and all this other stuff, but her costume is awesome. It's it's similar to the Batgirl redesign in that it's hip and stylish looking, but it's also very cool and superhero-y at the same time. It's like I love the Batgirl costume because it's cobbled together from like real clothes, and it still looks like a superhero costume. But something I like about Spider-Gwen is that it's just your straight up superhero head to toe spandex suit. It just looks amazing. Like the different patterns on it are really great. It's very cool. And the other one I'm going to pick is Ms. Marvel, which I think her design was probably revealed last year, but the book started earlier this year. And her costume is also amazing. It's clearly inspired by the original Ms. Marvel's look. It has the same logo on it and a prominent like sash type deal, only hers is a scarf. But it does something very unique and awesome looking. So those are my two picks.
All right, next question is another one of mine. Favorite purchase of the year? I'm going to start with Michael.
I was eating crackers.
Did you hear the question?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
My favorite purchase of the year, man, was my Wii U. I only made it about a month ago, and I'm just gonna say that, and then I'll tell you why in a different question.
Sounds good. Jake, do you want to go?
Yeah. I've got another one that's two, but it's also kind of one. I bought some really sweet toys this year, and the two that I think tied for me for my favorites are gonna have to be my Figma Link from The Legend of Zelda and my Figma Indiana Jones figure. They are incredibly articulated. They have a lot of awesome, accessories and things, alternate hands. The Link comes with different faces. They've got lots of weapons, and Indiana Jones comes with an artifact from each of his movies, except for the shitty one, which is great. He's got swappable eyes, so he can look in a different direction, which is really awesome. But anyway, that's gonna be my favorite. Awesome toys.
My favorite purchase is my new TV. The origin of my TV is, as you two both know, every spring break I would go down to visit you guys when you lived in Savannah. And this past March, I came down and I brought NBA 2K14 because that's the game that I've been playing. And so I was playing it on your TV, Michael, the huge one. And I had a lot of fun. And then spring break ended and I went back home. And I used to have this small LCD TV that was like 13 inches. And after playing 2K on your TV, I could not see the ball on my small TV. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy a new one. So I bought like what I think is like a 30-inch LCD TV. I don't know. But it's nice, and I got it for like $230. So that's my purchase of the year. Let's see. Next question.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about what?
Yeah, sorry for leading to the best purchase of the year for you. Oh, man.
Oh, no. I'm glad. It's made, like, it's, not to rant on this TV, but, even the sound is so much better. Like, the first time we played GTA, after I came back and after I changed TVs, I heard sounds that I hadn't heard before. Like, I heard the engines clicking to life on the planes, which I hadn't heard on my smaller TV. So, thank you. No, I am all happy about that.
Oh.
I know what question I want to end with, so now I'm just trying to figure out what to work around.
Let's hear a little mediocrity.
Alright, yeah, let's do that one. Jack's question is a piece of media that defined mediocrity for you this year. Neither good nor bad in really any capacity. Jack, since it's your question and you sprung this on me late, I'm going to make you go first.
Yeah,
and
I'll
I'm
go
gonna
first.
Go last.
What was the full title for this film?
I think it's just Black Canaries and Tanner.
Okay. My pick is going to go to a DC Comics original graphic novel, which is called Black Canary and Zatanna Bloodspell. It is a book that it's written by Paul Dini with art by Joe Quinones. I don't know how you pronounce it, but both of those are names that I like. Like I like Quinones' art, and Paul Dini worked on Batman the Animated Series, so he's got an awesome resume. And it's two characters that I think are fun and interesting when used correctly, but not two characters that I've read a lot of. So I was kind of excited by it. And Nick, this was something that you bought that I borrowed from you to read.
Mm-hmm.
And man, when I finished it, I'm pretty sure I forgot about 90% of the story right then and there. Like it's like none of it is bad. It's just so bland that there's almost no entertainment value in it. I guess it'll shut your brain off for 20 minutes. But man, I was kind of bummed.
You read that in 20 minutes? If you read that in 20 minutes, then that means that you didn't read it at the pace that you read comics.
Well, okay, maybe it was longer than 20 minutes. But
Michael, can you go next? I'm still thinking.
Yeah, okay. Mine was How to Train Your Dragon 2. Did you guys see it?
No.
No, that kind of bugs me out. I heard good things.
Yeah, so did I, and I was baffled by that. It was probably, the reason you heard good things about it was because it is tolerable for parents and adequate for kids. And so here's my range of emotion. I'm gonna do this reenactment for you guys. My range of reactions to what played out on that screen. Here's the best. Oh, neat. Here's the worst. And that's it. It wasn't terrible, and it wasn't good. It was just so it was ping-ponging around from entertaining to not. I can't even. This speech about it is mediocre because these are going to be tough to talk about. I mean, it was just so middle of the road that it was one of those that you come out of and you're like, well, I don't feel like I wasted my time, but my life would have been totally the same if I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, that is exactly how I felt about Bloodspell.
Yeah, I mean, I could have just sat on my couch.
Yeah, I looked at a page wall.
Yeah, so that's the answer for me.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna have to say the CW show Arrow.
Mm.
And it's kind of a change because, and I'll explain why this is a change. Is probably the answer. But last year, Arrow was basically my favorite TV show. You know, I found it to be a lot of fun. It was kind of frustrating, but you know, I was taking what I could get in terms of a superhero TV show that didn't suck like Shield does.
Mm-hmm.
But then this season, The Flash started, and show is amazing. And so now, every episode of Arrow is just like, okay. Like, and like every once in a while, there would be a cool stuff that happens. But I mean, like last season, I would barely miss an episode of Arrow. And at one point this season, I was 3 episodes behind, and there's a reason for that. Because I'm not gonna say it's getting worse, but it's not getting better in any measurable metric. And you know, with Flash being so amazing, it has just exposed Arrow for what it really is.
Basically, if I can piggyback off that for a second, we both really enjoyed Arrow in its first 2 seasons because I think of what we hoped it would become.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then The Flash came out, and it was pretty much exactly what we wanted it to be, and it's exactly what we wanted Arrow to be, and Arrow has continued to be exactly what it was. So it's just been, it's just decreased its entertainment value.
Yeah. All right. So since we just did mediocre, how about we go to worst entertainment experience of the year? And I'm gonna go first. I haven't gone first in a while, I don't think. It's my 5th question.
Okay.
Oh yeah. This one is the last 3 weeks of the Cleveland Browns football season. The Browns have sucked forever, and this year they started pretty well. You know, they were 6-3 at one point, but the last 3 weeks of football it's like I've traveled back to 1999 when they just started as an expansion team. They're just pitiful, and they ruin Sunday for me every week. Like it's clockwork. Like seriously, from September until the end of the year, I pretty much know every year of my life going in like that's 16 Sundays because there's a bye week. 16 Sundays that are going to have 3 hours that just fucking suck. So, Browns are my worst entertainment experience of the year. Going to games is still fun. I went to a game this year for the first time in a couple years because I go to school in Chicago and I'm there for most of the season. And like the going to games with, you know, Jack, my uncle, my dad, my friend the Flattings, our family friend the Flattings. That's a lot of fun. But everything on the field and over the radio and on the TV sucks. Jack, do you want to go or Michael?
I'll go next because I think mine is similarly off the beaten path. I went to a play this year with my family. We took my grandmother and my great aunt. Great aunt to see A Christmas Carol at the local community theater, and man, was it terrible. My memory of A Christmas Carol is the Muppet Christmas Carol, which is the best possible version of that story. And this was definitely not that. It had songs that were written originally for this production by other like Canton locals, and they should not quit their day job. The songs were overly long and overly repetitive, and we couldn't understand the only reason I could tell you that they're repetitive, because we couldn't understand a single word, is because you could just hear the sounds happening over and over again. But they had some speaker level problems because everyone was mic'd up, but the orchestra was about twice as loud as anyone speaking. So whenever a song would start, it was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to check out because I can't understand a single thing that's happening. And it was terrible. One of the characters flies, so she was rigged up, and she comes down from the top. And as she was descending, she stopped before her head became visible. And then they had to awkwardly pull her up a little bit and then go back down, and she was singing the whole time. Anyway, it was bad. Michael?
Boyhood. And I wasn't. I have a problem with expecting goodness out of things, and all I wanted was just a little bit. And I went in, sat down, and started watching Boyhood, and I was like, all right, well, this is, this could be really neat. And as it continued to drag on, and drag on, and drag on, and drag on, I was just wondering. I was trying to figure out, and we were in there with a couple of other people, and I was trying to. I was just wishing that I knew those folks so I could be like, hey, how do you guys feel about the way this is going? And maybe it's because of my education or whatever, but that's not how you write a screenplay. And I knew that it was filmed over 12 years, as most everyone does who has seen it or liked it, and I'm pretty sure, actually I'm certain, that crutch is why people feel obligated to like it, because the craft or the shtick of this fucking film it over 12 years and it's going to automatically be good. It just, I don't know why nobody else sees through that. It's if you take that out and just examine the screenplay for what it is is laughably terrible. They miss so many moments. You're supposed to come in on, some interesting moments, some good moments, and I understand that he's not trying to make it realistic. He's just trying to slightly dramatize the events in just a normal kid's life, in every person's life. But that makes this character incredibly hollow, and I was going to try not to get so lit up about this, but I can't believe that it's finding its way to the top of so many top 10 lists or best movies of 2014, because it's not. It's a really impressive feat, everybody's still alive, through 12 years cast, but it's chock full of like totally unbelievable performances, like you not like, oh, that's unbelievable, no, like that you don't believe it. But Ethan Hawke does well, but it's an easy character to play, and all of these characters are so just stock. And there's one scene in that whole movie that I really do love, and that I'm careful to point it out. The whole story could have been told by this one 7-minute scene, and you wouldn't have had to wait an hour and 50 minutes to get to it. And it makes such an excellent summary of all the boys and kids and anyone who's growing up. We're always looking for answers to things. Like, you adults know how this works, right? So can't you just drop a little bit of that knowledge on me? And Ethan Hawke is like, no, I know I was looking for answers too, but I just don't have them. This is just kind of just how it works, and it's so tender and so wonderful that like that was almost worth sitting through that trash for. But Patricia Arquette is pitiful, and all the emotional cards that this movie tries to play to get you to feel things, they're so easy. Alcoholic dad gets angry at dinner and smashes some glasses, and there are some creative scenes, but I actually, I say scenes because there are only 2, so that's the reason for the plural. It just makes me so angry that people don't see past that crush. It's like, whoa, wow, no, I'm gonna stop because I could go on for another 2 hours.
I think I might end up having you talk about this 2 times in a row. But let's go to your first question, which is, what do you agree with critics and/or the general public about? What do you disagree with critics?
Yeah, don't you just go ahead on that, and I'll focus on that particular part of it. I disagree with everyone's diagnosis that Boyhood is a good movie, because the conversation should be about the quality of the final product, not the road you take to get there. And I think the feat that Linkletter has accomplished here is the reason so many critics feel obligated to write a good review for it or like it because everybody else does. And, am I supposed to like this movie? I think that's what goes through all of their heads. Like, oh man, I'm really gonna need to make sure that people know that I like this movie, even if I kind of don't, because it's a bad, boring piece of trash movie. And and they feel obligated to like it instead of writing an honest review about the movie itself. Because if you go in not knowing that it's filmed over 12 years, or you're not able to discern that from the fact that this kid looks the same, throughout, and it's impressive. So I continue to say that it's impressive, but it doesn't make it a good movie. I could amputate both of my arms and operate a camera with my feet and film 30 seconds of a story for the next, for the rest of my life. And that doesn't make it a good movie. I might get recognition for having done that, but the final product doesn't get higher reviews because I took an unorthodox path to it. That's the end of my. I never want to talk about it again. If it wins the Oscar, I'm going to do a special episode of this podcast without you guys, and it's just going to be 3 hours of me just screaming at the top of my lungs.
All right, I'm going to go next. What I disagree with critics and or the general public about most this year is X-Men Days of Future Past, which I wasn't like. I know that some of my Facebook friends, no names please, liked it a lot, and so I couldn't remember what the general consensus was, so I just hopped over to Wikipedia and went to the critical reception thing, and it said that it received acclaim, and I don't get it. I thought that movie was gonna suck pretty much since it was announced. And you know what? It sucked. There's the X-Men movies of late have been, pretty much all of them, have been crippled by so many problems. And since the First Class movies started, which is just X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past, they've been crippled by Jennifer Lawrence. And here's what I mean. I'm not saying that she's bad. I don't like her, but I'm not saying that means she's bad. But because she's so popular, Mystique has to be the center of fucking everything. Guess what? Mystique isn't interesting. Mystique is not that interesting. I don't see why Magneto has to be the bad guy of every fucking X-Men movie. There's a billion X-Men characters. There's not just one evil one.
There's also not just one X-Man either.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. And another thing that all of them have been crippled by is Wolverine. Wolverine, sure, he's interesting. He's cool. But I'm done with Wolverine. Everyone else should be too. There's, like I just said, there's a billion interesting X-Men characters. Wolverine is not the only one. And one of the things that's frustrating is because the future scenes in X-Men Days of Future Past are awesome. They have
the best action.
The coolest character, Blink, who, like, I'd never heard of Blink. Blink is a new character to me, and I loved her in that movie. And she was in. She doesn't. She said, like, I think she has a line. I think she says Warpath's name one time. But it's just so frustrating because the X-Men isn't a corner of the Marvel universe that I'm like obsessed with. Like, I read some X-Men books, but I like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man more than the X-Men. I guess might like the X-Men second out of the Marvel universe. I don't know. That's not what this is about right now. But it's just I want to see a good X-Men movie that I like, and I haven't really liked an X-Men movie ever. Maybe I liked First Class. And here's why. X-Men 2. Yeah, sure, whatever. First Class brought up mutants that hadn't really been focused on before, and Mystique, Magneto, and Xavier were like the three major ones, but Banshee had never been in a movie. Banshee's cool. Havoc hadn't been in a movie. Havoc's cool. The whole Hellfire Club. But after that, they just decided to make a movie about Magneto, Wolverine, Mystique, and Xavier. Which they've done 1, 2, 3 other times, and they've made a movie with Wolverine as the main character 7 times. Or 6. It's just so... I don't get why people like that movie. I'll never understand it.
I like that we get so lit up about this thing. It's just basically like in a nutshell, or like if you put a too long didn't listen version in, it'd just be like, shut up about X-Men. Or shut up about everybody. Just shut up. You're dumb.
Let's see what Jack wants people to shut up about.
Can we add like just a little asterisk to that one actually, and make sure to give credit to the Quicksilver scene.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. I'm not saying that the movie was a complete piece of trash.
No, I know.
I'm saying that it should have been about something else. Should have been about other people. The plot necessarily didn't have to change. Just have it not be Mystique, have it not be Magneto, have it be characters that we hadn't seen yet. Mm-hmm. Make us want to and I know that this isn't Fox's responsibility because Fox doesn't sell the comic books, but like make us want to care about like new characters. Like people already care about Magneto and people already care about Xavier because the original trilogy was all about them. They should want to like try to expand their base by introducing new characters, not just introducing younger versions of characters we already know.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the reasons that Guardians of the Galaxy's success is so great, because they, you give us a great movie with great characters and that we don't know, and we'll still love it and watch it a lot.
Yes.
Definitely.
So we'll start seeing more stuff like that. Hopefully we can venture outside of the things that we know. And the problems with Spider-Man and with X-Men needing to sort of on things that they already have known is really, it's really because of how studios are doing now. And if they start doing better or start taking notes from this Guardians of the Galaxy phenomenon, then hopefully we'll get some better stuff with we don't necessarily already know, or the people that we want to see.
Yeah, I check you most whatever.
Well,
Your
just
answer.
real quick, I want to dovetail on the thing you just said, the long rant about Days of Future Past. I think, in a nutshell, like, I care a lot about how superheroes are represented in media, and I think the thing I'm most disappointed about is that we're 5 movies in and we still haven't gotten a good Spider-Man movie. But, okay, well, Spider-Man 2 is good, everyone, don't jump down my throat, but I think it has plenty of problems, whoever wants to fight about it. But I think the X-Men and Fox, I think that's the biggest missed opportunity, just in terms of the fact that they have a collection of characters that encompasses pretty much the same number that Marvel Studios has, and all they had to do is buy the rights to the word X-Men to get them, and they've basically just slung the same 7 around in a circle, and it's real boring. But anyway. Mine is considerably more tame than the two of you, because I actually struggled to think of something that I liked this year that critics, or I guess, well, anyway, I struggled to find something that I disagreed with critics about, but the thing that first jumped to my mind was Interstellar, because I'm sure that it's mostly positively received. Everyone I've talked to has liked it, but I've seen enough reviews from people that were either lukewarm on it or thought it was grossly overrated or actually hated it, that I didn't really understand, because I thought it was beautiful, I thought it was engaging, I thought it used certain elements of movie making that were a little outside the box, and kind of dangerous in a way, like the way it used sound I thought was really fascinating, but also could have gone really poorly. So I thought that was neat, but a lot of people I saw were using that as a reason why it failed. I don't know. I thought Interstellar was real good, and I would recommend it, despite what some people have said about it.
Okay. My last question is best comic book or graphic novel that you read for the first time this year. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something new, but just like the movie thing, just something that was new to you this year. I'm going to start with Jack.
All right. My pick for this is Fables, Volume 4, March of the Wooden Soldiers by Bill Willingham and Mark Buckingham. It was awesome. I started reading this series based on Nick's recommendation. I've actually been reading through his books in the series, and the first 3 volumes, I enjoyed. Like, they're good. But they were kind of mostly enjoyed for me in the sense of, like, oh, this is interesting. It's because Fables is about characters from our popular fairy tales living in the real world in secret. And so mostly it was like, oh, this is kind of neat, or like they're getting some good drama out of this concept, and it's interesting and it's engaging. But March of the Wooden Soldiers is when things ramped up and it became intense and awesome. Like it up until this point, wisely, it was mostly focused on drama amongst the various clans that live in our real world, and this is when kind of an external threat threatened all of them collectively, and they kind of had to band together and defend their new home and stuff. And it is awesome. It's really intense. There's some fun twists and turns, and yeah, it's really good. That's my pick.
Michael, let's go to you.
What question are we on?
Best comic book or graphic novel that you read for the first time.
Okay, yeah. Southern Bastards, for sure. I picked it up, and it gave me the same feeling of urgency and must find available, must go buy it immediately. I hadn't had that since I started Sweet Tooth years ago. And Southern Bastards is just it's fast and loose, and man, it is bloody, and it doesn't pull any punches, and I just can't wait to see what's going on. It's independent or whatever, so it can just do what it wants to do, and those are the stories that I love the most.
And it's written by Jason Aaron with art by Jason Latour, for those curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael, come on, give some credit.
I memorized their names yet.
My answer to this question is Gotham Academy. Like I said, it has art by Karl Kerschel and written by Becky Clinton.
Co-written by Becky Clinton and the guy that co-writes Batgirl.
Stewart?
No, the other guy.
Is it Fletcher or something?
Fletcher, yeah. Brendan Fletcher.
Yeah. Riveting radio. But it's... I'm trying not to talk about it too much since Jack and I had talked about it in a podcast a couple months ago.
Okay.
But it's 3 issues have come out. It's basically about it focuses on 2 girls who go to a boarding school in Gotham called Gotham Academy, and the school is it's basically like Hogwarts, but in like the real world. Like they don't like teach magic and shit, but it's like that kind of setting.
That aesthetic,
yeah, that aesthetic. And like this first arc is them hunting like for a ghost, trying to find out what's up with like the North Hall. There's rumor that it's haunted. It's just awesome. I would recommend it to anybody and everybody who likes anything, really. 'Cause it's not a superhero comic. If you like Harry Potter, you'll like Gotham Academy, basically. So that's that question. 2 left? No, 3 left, because I forgot about one of Jack's. Alright, let's go to Jack's last question, which is best new discovery this year across any medium. How's it going, Millie?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, Jack.
Her answer is Nuggets.
She didn't discover that this year.
Freshly
My pick is going to be the Flophouse Podcast. It's a podcast by Dan McCoy, Elliot Kalin, and Stuart Wellington. The first 2 guys, McCoy and Kalin, are both writers on The Daily Show, and the podcast, basically they watch a bad movie. It's usually a fairly recent movie that was a critical or financial flop, and they basically make fun of it. And it's hilarious. It's a lot of fun. Most of the things that I find funny about it are when they get off on insanely long tangents, completely unrelated to the movie they're watching. But it is a riot. I started watching it or listening to it while I worked, and it quickly became apparent that was a bad idea while inking because I had to stop repeatedly because I was cracking up just way too hard to hold a brush.
Michael, do you want to go next, or do you want me to go?
I could go. My best new discovery was Nintendo. I bought probably my maybe 10th 3DS because I just had a habit of buying it when there was something that I wanted to play, But I bought a new one in January, and man, now I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like 32 digital games on my 3DS, and I have a ton on the Wii U as well. And man, they they have opened my eyes again to playing for fun and just just amazing, colorful worlds that are as you can get as deep into them as you want. Like a good example is Mario Golf. Like you can play Mario Golf, it's fine, whatever, and then you can try for these moon coins, and man, those challenges I don't know how to do them. They are impossible. And then there's Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which is easy for the first couple of levels, and then like totally impossible some of these spin-off levels, and all they need to do is iron out their online play stuff and enable transfers of content without having to send your consoles back into them. It just doesn't make any sense. So they try to prevent resale or whatever, but they just need to get with the times in certain ways, but in other ways, like just making games that are fun and don't require 40 gigabyte re-downloads. They are so great, and I'm so looking forward to spending more time with Nintendo.
All right, my best new discovery is a manga series called Yotsuba, which is, I think the genre is called like a slice of life. It's basically like the adventures of this 4-year-old girl who just moved into a new town. It's the funniest thing I've ever read. I have it digitally, but I'm going to try to start buying them all hard copies so that I can have them on my shelves. But it's the funniest thing. I would read them before I went to bed at night, and it would keep me up an extra like hour and a half just laughing. And like I told Jack at one point, like reading this little comedy series like makes me want to have a daughter just because she's so hilarious. So I mean, inspiring me to want a kid is a pretty impressive feat.
It is. Nick does not like kids generally.
And so it tells you something about Yotsuba.
Yeah.
She's hilarious. All right, 2 questions left. Last listener question from my friend Emily Stratton. Most disappointing news regarding comics you've received this year. And I'm, just to make it a little more user-friendly to all 3 of us, I'm opening that up to comics and other media as well. So like movies, TV, whatever.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. That's why, because I knew you would have trouble with it just being a comics thing. I'm going to start with myself. I'm also kind of taking a liberty translating comics into manga again. I found out this year that my favorite manga series, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, was ending, and it has since ended. And that disappointed the hell out of me because, I mean, for a while, up at the end, the last story, which went over like 4 volumes, which is like 16 chapters, which would be it would be the equivalent of like a 16-issue arc in a comic, in like an American comic series. It was awesome, and I loved it, and I really didn't want it to end. But I'm really disappointed that it's over. But it ended well, so at least it's not like a bitter defeat. That it would be worse if, like anything, if something ends on a bad note. It doesn't like taint the rest of it, but it just makes it a little bit harder to enjoy. Maybe that's just me. But it ended well. I just wish it was still going on. For a while there, it was my favorite ongoing comic series of anything, like even Western stuff. But it's over, and I'm disappointed.
I'd like to go next.
Jack would like to go next.
Because I think Michael is going to be a little more fired up than I am, so it'd be a good one to end on. I'm going to go with the most disappointing thing for me was the Spider-Woman #1 variant cover controversy, which was a Milo Manera variant cover that received a lot of negative attention because for its exploitative, I guess is the best word, portrayal of the title character. I thought it was hugely disappointing because up until that point, Marvel was basically making a name for themselves in the past several years with really progressive moves with their characters. They upgraded Ms. Marvel to Captain Marvel and gave her a slick new redesign that was a much better costume than her previous one, which was prone to exploitative images. And they had recently launched the new Ms. Marvel, which was about a teen Pakistani American superhero girl, and they've got Miles Morales, the Black Latino Spider-Man, and they've basically been making a lot of announcements, pushing their books more and more into being as inclusive as possible. And then this cover comes out, and it just reminds you of everything that's wrong in the industry, all this, just the way it treats women, and it was really disappointing coming from Marvel, because they had been taking such positive steps in that area, and so it really bummed me out.
Michael, your answer?
Yeah. No, I actually didn't write anything for this question because you didn't add it to the spreadsheet there or whatever.
Yes, I did. It was the second thing I put on there.
No, I know it was, but you didn't change it to or other media, did you?
No, that's been there the whole time.
Okay, well, let's just answer the question.
I'm just saying, the second I got that question from Emily, I knew that you would have a hard time answering it.
Wow, I haven't read that.
Well, you're an idiot.
What comes to mind first is that we would be playing Arkham Knight right now, Jack.
Yeah, that's true.
But really I am willing to give Rocksteady as much time as they need. What were you going to say that I would get fired up about? I need your help.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man stuff.
Oh yeah, I've kind of cooled on that a little bit. I don't know. I am interested in seeing, it's more about the troubles of being a teenager than his relationships with whatever. But and maybe that story's been told, maybe not super well, according to you guys. But I want okay, here it comes. I want to see Andrew Garfield right next to the rest of those guys in the Avengers. He belongs right there because he quips so nicely.
It's true. That is super
and I just can't imagine who would play him, but I would be willing to give somebody else a shot because we didn't know who he was really before he took over, and so I'm kind of half and half now. So I guess I'm gonna have to stick with my my bittersweet pushing back of Arkham Knight, because without that in this year's release catalog, it has been lukewarm for everybody but Nintendo, honestly.
Yeah. Sure games, yeah, totally.
All right. So we've talked for a while, almost more than an hour, about 2014. Let's go to our last question, Michael's last question. Most anticipated release / event of 2015. Jack's bobbing his head, so I'm going to start with him.
Age of Ultron. Not even a contest. I would do horrible things to see that movie right now. It looks awesome. It looks super awesome. I want to see the Avengers back together again, doing awesome stuff. Looks great. That's my pick.
Alright, I'm going to go next. My most anticipated release of 2015 is Laura Marling's 5th album, which is titled Short Movie. It comes out, I think, March 23rd. I found out that it's coming out March 23rd about a week ago, maybe less than that, 4 days ago, and I just got super sad that it isn't out now. Laura Marling is by far my favorite musical talent. I can listen to her discography for like weeks in a row and never get tired of it. I'm borderline in love with her, but she's just the best. So I can't wait for her next album to come out. I'm sure that I'm going to love it, and I'm sure I'm probably going to listen to it for 3 weeks straight without listening to anything else.
Oh, I hope it's good, man. There's nothing worse than getting a disappointing album from your favorite group.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right, well, so best of luck to you on that. I have 3 answers. One in each category. So the game that I'm most looking forward to, at least early in the year, is The Order 1886 for PlayStation 4. It looks so good. And I have 2 more answers here too: Arkham Knight and Uncharted 4. And they're all going to be best on PS4. You heard it here first. Fuck Xbox One. Fuck all y'all Xbox One. Well, bring it.
Uncharted
No,
4 is next year?
What?
I didn't know Uncharted 4 is next year. That's awesome.
Yeah, it should be out in November probably. That's when they have released all the other ones. I wrote Avengers 2, of course. But my backup answer, because I knew you were going to say that, is Foxcatcher with Steve Carell and Channing Tatum. It should be out in January here. I know it's been seen plenty of other places, but it looks terrifying and totally amazing. You guys got to check out the trailer if you haven't already.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen the trailer. It does look pretty good.
I have not, but I've heard good things about surrounding the title. So I
Yeah, so I'm interested in seeing if they do or do not catch the fox.
That's what I was wondering.
And then comics is just it's the only answer I have, which is Southern Bastards issue number 7.
Nice.
All right, so we've talked for an hour and a half. I guess kind of less than that because we had that little interlude. Do we want to talk about the interview?
Or do we want to make it its own podcast?
Let's 15 seconds each.
Okay.
All right. Okay, hold on. I'm setting it now. Okay, Nick, ready?
No.
Jack?
Jack, go first.
I'll go.
Okay, and go.
I think it sets a frightening precedent that Sony pulled the movie. I know there's not a lot they could do just because if something did happen that could have been prevented, that would be awful. But I think the way
Time.
maybe a minute.
Okay, 45 more seconds, Jack.
Okay, the way we respond to threats is hugely important, and I think rolling over that quickly tells the bad people of the world that if you attack us in the right way, we will do whatever you want.
Wait, do you see the rest of your time?
I do see the rest of my time.
All right, I'll try to keep it 30 seconds, and I'm going to keep track here as well. All right, tell me when.
Go.
I think it sucks. I agree with pretty much all of Hollywood that they shouldn't have pulled it. But I think the biggest shame of this whole thing is that this is all happening over what looks like a really fucking stupid and shitty movie.
Yeah.
I've seen the trailer for it, as I'm sure by this point everyone with a computer has, just out of curiosity. And that movie looks so stupid. And I mean, I'm disappointed that it's not being released just on the matter of principle, but who cares? That movie was going to be shit anyway.
Yeah, well said. Okay, 30 seconds for me. I'm glad you guys said both of those things because I would have used all my 30 seconds to say those things. I think that Sony made a mistake putting the decision on the theater owners because that gives them full liability should something happen. I think they made the right choice not to show it because if they put anybody at risk and something does happen, then we're going to see the flip side of this. I also think that this is not about freedom of speech or freedom of expression because I could make a movie where Hitler is black and it's Muslims instead of Jews, and I have expressed myself, but that does not require a studio to distribute it. 30 seconds, exactly.
Well,
Alright.
I disagree with that, but we don't have to have follow-ups.
All right, so this was a lot of fun. If you're ever open to being in a future episode, then I mean I'm sure
We should
Jack
do an
will-
episode on Arkham Knight when that comes out. And it'll just be us going, yes.
Oh no, good stuff.
No, well, I will say I'm not super looking forward to the second
This is
season.
the ending, guys. This is the important ending.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Sign off.
So like I said, if you ever want to jump in again, then just feel free to ask us. But this has been the Super Seola Bros podcast. I'm Dominic Seoli.
Jack Scioli.
Jack, you have something to plug.
Michael Scott!
You guys have stuff to plug.
Oh, I do
Slow
have stuff
down.
to plug. Yeah, sorry. The third issue of Atlas is finally out. I think I've said that it's been almost out for maybe 3 of this.
No,
previous
every
times.
single episode that we've done, Jack said it's going to be out soon.
Well, anyway, it's out. You should read it.
It's really good. It's awesome.
I think it's pretty good. You can find that at atlascomic.com. Do it.
All right,
Yeah,
Michael.
wait, no, here, I'll also plug that. Now, Jack and I, we received our college educations together, and we've seen each other grow. I haven't grown at all. I still make the same thing.
It's not true.
But
Well, you've
but
gotten
yeah.
taller.
from the entirely colored-in black man that you drew at that one time.
I was really hoping you would not bring that up.
And that will be uploaded to my website at mscottfilms.com. You can take a look at how far he's come. No, but look, people ask about you because my friends know you. You visited and they know who you are, and they're like, "How's Jack doing?" And I tell them, "Man, Jack is doing so well. He is drawing a comic that is like legitimately and objectively good. Like not even considering that I know him. This is a compelling and well written and no bullshit filler comic, and he does very impressive art for it. And the colors and the writing, of course, but they're not on this podcast, so fuck them."
Yeah. No, don't.
It is all really impressive stuff, and I can say that objectively because I don't care about you, Jack.
No, who does really?
If it's about the work, I think we can all agree. So check out the comic because it's awesome.
Well, thanks. That's very nice of you.
And I mean, it's Gumroad, right? So it's pay what you want.
You can actually read it straight off your browser for free if you want to do that. But if you want to own a digital copy, you can follow the links on our website to Gumroad, where it's pay what you want. You can put a big little 0 in there and get it for free.
You could do that, or if you wanted to get it for free, you could just screen cap every individual issue and then just stitch those together on a PDF mode.
If you wanted to take the effort.
Print them out, sell them.
Don't.
All right, Michael.
Put our website on there.
Michael, do you have your website to plug?
Oh, it's mscottfilms.com. Mscott LLC, providing all your video production needs, unless it's porn or murder or terrorism.
That would be called snuff, not murder.
Right. No murder snuff.
All right, so this has been a lot of fun. We're looking forward to another good year. Thanks for listening, and have a happy Christmas if you celebrate it. And
happy holidays
is
the correct time.
We're in America. All right, see you guys.